Hey, this is Christian, and today we're going to look at quite a few verses. I am reading in John 9, starting at verse 1. As Jesus was walking along, he saw a man who had been born blind. His disciples asked him, "Teacher, whose sin caused him to be born blind? Was it his own or his parents' sin?" Jesus answered, "His blindness has nothing to do with his sins or his parents' sins. He is blind so that God's power might be seen at work in him. As long as it's day, we must do the work of him who sent me. Night is coming when no one can work. While I am in the world, I am the light for the world." After he said this, Jesus spat on the ground and made some mud with the spittle. He rubbed the mud on the man's eyes and told him, "Go and wash your face in the pool of Siloam." This name means sent. So the man went, washed his face, and came back seeing. His neighbors then, and the people who'd seen him begging before this, asked, "Isn't this the man who used to sit and beg?" Some said, "He is the one," but others said, "No, he isn't. He just looks like him." So the man himself said, "I am the man." "How is it that you can now see?" they asked. He answered, "The man called Jesus made some mud, rubbed it on my eyes, and told me to go to Siloam and wash my face. So I went, and as soon as I washed, I could see." "Where is he?" they asked. "I don't know," he answered. Jumping down to verse 13, he said, Then they took to the Pharisees the man who had been blind. The day that Jesus made the mud and cured him of his blindness was the Sabbath. The Pharisees then asked the man again how he had received his sight. He told them, "He put some mud on my eyes, I washed my face, and now I can see." Some of the Pharisees said, "The man who did this cannot be from God, for he does not obey the Sabbath law." Others, however, said, "How can a man who is a sinner perform such miracles as these?" And there was a division among them. Verse 24. A second time they called back the man who had been born blind and said to him, "Promise before God that you will tell the truth. We know that this man who cured you is a sinner." "I do not know if he is a sinner or not," the man replied. "One thing I do know, I was blind, and now I see." Telling your testimony can be a little daunting because it's that process of like, well, what if they think I'm weird? Or maybe it's a friend of yours and you don't want to offend anybody. Or maybe it's a coworker and you're not sure which lines to cross. Or that sometimes you think, I don't even know if they'll believe me if I tell them. And that's where this man finds himself. Everybody in the city knows he was blind. Everybody saw him begging. They all know. And yet he's still standing there seeing. And they're going, "Yeah, I don't know. It might be him. Nah, it just looks like him. It can't possibly be true. There's no way that you could have grown up in a home without a father, and yet now you lead a life and lead a family and lead healthy men growing up. There's no way that can be you. There's no way you could have had a child out of wedlock and you now actually not only have you grown from it and you have a healthy family from it, you actually now help other women. There's no way that somebody had cancer and they told you you had 6 weeks to live and it's now 5 years later and you're still here. These things don't just happen, so it can't be true. The thing is, you can tell your story. And it doesn't need to be eloquent and it doesn't be amazing. It's just the fact that you're telling people, the man named Jesus touched me. That's all he does here. He doesn't have a deep background. He didn't go to seminary. You might not know the Hebrew and the Greek words for everything. He just says, the man named Jesus touched me. All I know is I was blind and now I see. I don't know whether he's a sinner. I don't know how these things happen. I don't know all the details. My first year of my senior year in college, I couldn't afford to pay my tuition. And because I couldn't afford to pay it, I couldn't register for the next semester, which meant I wasn't going to be able to graduate on time. So I decided to go down to the financial office to find out exactly how much I owed them, to see if there was a way I maybe could make some plans. Maybe we could do like a payment options. And I went down there and they said, "Oh no, it's paid in full." At which point I made sure to have the lady make a copy of that for me so that when it came down to it, I can be like, "Oh no, I got proof." I don't know how my tuition got paid. All I know is I graduated on time. The man named Jesus kept touching my life. He promised to get me through my 4 years and he kept his promise. I don't know what your story is, but I need you to tell your story because other people need to hear the goodness of God. When you tell people your testimony, it infuses faith in them to believe. You might not know all the details. You may not be able to give the scientific reasons in the Hebrew words, and you may not have a elite background. You might not have even been saved that long. All you need to do is say, the man named Jesus touched me. I was blind, and now I see. Tell your story. Love you.